Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me. I love beautiful young talent. Unfortunately, too many males. that's, that's okay. Um, I really, I mean, I'm very proud to have this chance to speak to some of the people I admire the most. I mean, you see, I'm even wearing one of your super brands, German, and I'm from a country where we have no old industry, nothing that we can really be proud of. We don't have cars or anything really interesting. We have a small hi-fi brand called Bang & Olufsen, but it's nothing really. But what I want to talk to you guys about tonight, since this is about entrepreneurship, I want to talk to you about getting out of the comfort zone. Because we're all, of course, we want to be secured and safe. And that's also why somebody's got into your heads that you should go to this fantastic school, that you want to be smarter than the rest and get a better job. But if you want to do entrepreneurship, you'll have to step out of the comfort zone all the time. And basically, I normally compare it to, if you really want to do this, you probably yeah, you probably have to be able to to get out of the comfort zone. But doing a startup or creating something, and I don't think of a startup as only a company. I think the real heroes are people who do movements, who start things that are a little bit bigger than just making money. But it's a very smart thing to start making a lot of money and then doing bigger things after. But doing startups and changing the world, you'll have the feeling of facing death and eating glass all the time. It's really hard. So don't go for it, I mean, if you're not really ready. First, I want to play a song that has been a good driver, motivator for me when I've been in really deep shit. So let's try with that. Could you play? Or did my iPhone lock? Yeah, just give it full on.
Through these hard times,
much louder.
people say you gotta keep going on.
Through the hard times, people try and kick you when you're down.
Through these hard times, don't it always seem like there's never anyone around to help you when you're strong out? Ain't it funny how no one seems to care?
They just wanna down.
Tell you that love isn't there. No.
So through the hard times, let me know. Through these hard times, that I'm not alone.
Through these hard times, I need you more.
Than I ever did before.
Through these hard times, people see what it's like.
Just cut it here. It's okay. Yeah, now we even had an old gay guy singing. Elton John. Okay, so this whole idea of doing startups and playing with the comfort zones, I think is what you have to really be ready to if you want to enter the whole parallel universe of business, which is startups. I'm very afraid to over promote it because it's not for everyone, but it's fantastic when it works, and it's also a little bit tough when it doesn't. And of course, when I started out doing Facebook on paper, these yearbook. Do you have these books after high school? You do this book from for the year. I started out when I was 19, making some really nice sheets, a small disc. Some of you won't even remember the floppy disk, but I had a small application for the program for the operating system called Windows. A very old app store. Where we then sent the disk to every class. They would write about each other, and they would try to send it back. And because of the problem with the magnets, half of it would be gone. But I hired a couple of guys, and we had some small cars and visited all the schools in Denmark and Sweden, and got 95% of the market by also selling them a cab and putting in some beers and having sex with the students if they were women, of course. No gay yet. So starting that whole thing when you're 19 years old kind of defines you as a business or person or an entrepreneur. But it was way too early to actually understand what I was doing. And I think that's a big opportunity for you guys. Don't think too much. Just do it and get started. And then there is another thing with this comfort zone and understanding what is a startup, what is it to be an entrepreneur. First of all, I want to be make it totally clear in your brains. Going for the money alone or the fame will not work. There is no chance. 95% of the startups that I see that are really successful, they've never been started by the fact that people wanted to be rich. I just spent a couple of days in Singapore with a guy whose name is a little bit weird because of the movie Eduardo Severin, but it was really weird to be with him. You wanted to be like the movie all the time, but he's super smart, and it was obvious that they didn't start this company to be rich. They started this company like everything else to get laid. So that's a really good driver. And they're pretty. He's at least pretty honest about it. I think Mark Zuckerberg wants to be a god now, so he would probably not admit it. But I think that's a very important part, just to identify what is it that you're really aiming for, and then of course being German and also being part of the institute where some of the most, I think, successful German business guys in this century have gone to school, the Samwer guys. If you're from here, you'll of course have to, and also Glanzer, my really good friend and a guy who's also been helping me a lot. When you look at how they do it and all these different, I call it religions, then you of course have to find your own way of doing it. Because what I want to do is ultimately different from how the Samwer guys want to do it, and there are many different ways or religions of how a startup should be. I have no problem saying that I only want to do startups or things that can really change the world, and I would never spend any second of a day copying shit and just but basically no, because I think small copy guys, it's just like you probably grew up. I have never thought about it before, but you must have heard at the dinner table at home when you were kids that the Japanese were just copying German cars. But here, this is the same. Everybody is so fucking afraid to start anything online because the Samwer guys will take it over before they have launched it. But I have all the respect in the world when you take it to the other level, because these guys have reinvented the whole process about rolling out companies globally, hiring 3,000 people for Groupon in China, just executing at another level. So I don't feel entitled to criticize the model. I can just say what religion I believe in. And I do hope that some of you will jump to my religion, and I think I'm very sure that many of you will go to other kinds of religions, and there will be different mixes of how you do it. And sometimes you will even end up in the whatever copy game or distribution game that is needed. That's something I often forget to talk about, the importance of whenever you have a good idea or can see a market potential, then I think it's extremely important that you, of course, so it's cool. Whenever you have identified what you want to do with your startup and have the idea, then try as fast as you can to get some kind of distribution. What does that mean? Get some partners, some big portals, build the biggest papers, the biggest TV channels, or maybe some hackers who have 100,000 users in a niche that no one knows. Make a partnership so they can push your products, if you're online, of course. That little trick seems to be totally forgotten. That was how I've been building many of the companies I've been building. I once started an antivirus company because I was so fucking tired of the existing product. So I went to Romania, found some really cool guys who had done it before, and made my version at the time of an antivirus product. And of course, the first thing I did was to find some distribution partners that would make my brand big, because I was fully aware that having an antivirus application alone would be very hard. I mean, if only I had it on my laptop and I would send it to all my friends, it's not fast enough to spread. So I signed a deal with Kazaa. Maybe, how many of you guys remember Kazaa? Oh, okay, it's still, yeah, okay. I thought it was from people my age. Of course, I went to them and said, hey, you guys, you'll have a problem with all the record industries pumping viruses into the system to kill your system. So why don't I make a small app inside Kazaa that will take care and filter out viruses? If I do that for free, then you have to promote my product. So that was the way we got to 200 million PCs. It was no rocket science. It was just a very small deal. It took half an hour in a meeting room. I think that's something people forget now, because yes, the App Store is there, the app economy, you can do stuff inside Facebook, but then make a deal with some really big some people or some companies who are really already big inside Facebook or big inside the app economy of Apple. I think that's something that very few people talk about, and you see it all the time. You see that, I mean, Gadowski and and the Samwer guys, a lot of the startups they do these media partnership or distribution partnerships up front. So be smart around that. Then I think one of the most important things on being entrepreneur and coming to these conferences and seeing the people that you kind of look up to, something you have to be very, very clear about. And I'll not take all your time. How much time do we want to? What's the timing here, guys? Yeah, but how long time do you want me to go on? Okay, we'll do 10 more minutes. So before we do the motivational part, I want to be sure that. Pardon? Okay, I'll. You just want to be drunk, you fucking Englishman. First of all, be extremely clear whether you're ready for this, whether you have the support. For me, it's always been extremely easy. I was a single child. My mom and dad put me on the table every day, and they were so amazed if I could just put a fork in my mouth. It was incredible. So having that base self-confidence is a really good thing. Then maybe I got a little bit too lazy, but you can compensate with charm. But be very, very, very careful with stepping into this if you're not ready for it. And then I think a good tip, also a dangerous tip, is to have somebody on the team who've been into sports. Because people who've been very high up in sports, they know that you have to eat yourself. And you're not going to die just because it hurts a little bit. That part, be very clear and don't jump into it. It is actually super cool to have a job, and even though no matter what, if you want to start later or try a startup later, to try a job in one of the big institutions. Of course, try to get a job somewhere where you can get close to management, so you can absorb as much knowledge as possible from somebody who's actually in control. It can be difficult or hard to be very far down the hierarchy, but there's nothing wrong with that. That's how the real world works, and only 3 to 5% of a generation will try to be involved with a startup. When that's said, and you be very careful to go into this, because it is tough, and 9 out of 10 or 8 out of 10 startups will fail. So that's what you have to be ready to face. And I've tried it. I mean, the paper Facebook I made when I was 19, I kind of we made a lot of money. So I took them all home in cash and put them under my bed. And then whenever we wanted to go out, I just took my hand under the bed and we went out and got really drunk and had a lot of fun. But that meant that there was a problem with the VAT. You don't pay VAT if you just take the money from under the bed. So the company got closed because I didn't pay my bills. And that experience is tough. When I was driving on my bicycle back from the small local court and I was bankrupt, I felt that everyone could see that this is the guy who went bankrupt. It's not nice. It really sucks. And then that I managed to do it 3 years ago again by fucking up a newspaper and burning nearly $500 million. That was impressive. But don't try to get there, but be aware it can easily happen. When you have taken those, if you really find out whether you want it or not, then I think the most important part for starting a company, being a group, is of course, the people. And it's all about the people. We still haven't seen a company that has been building itself. It is all about people, the group, how you can manage the power structure and everything. And then, of course, you have to be able to motivate yourself. And it is fantastic. It's really amazing. Whenever it will work, whenever you build that first prototype, start having some users, having some sales going, it's the best thing in the world. Of course, it's nothing compared to good drugs and sex, but it's really, really, really good. It gives you a lot of adrenaline, and you can get far. But you have to have this mental state, and always, it's easier from the sports that you really have to want it. You have to stay extremely positive, because there will be endless amounts of problems. You have to stay self-motivating, and you have to pick people up, because sometimes the engineers will be working 20 hours for a couple of days, 20 hours a day for a couple of weeks, and you have to pick them up, because the brain can't do that. And you have to all the time motivate and generate energy. That part, I think, is the single most important thing for keeping the team motivated. Then, of course, to get attention, it doesn't work just to be like the rest of them. You can't hide in the crowd. You have to stand out. And I think that's an important thing for, if there should be such German smart student in this room who wants to step out and do something really changing the world, then you have to be able and ready to do what it takes. And I think that's very un-German. It's also pretty un-Danish. But really stepping out, wear the fucking pink suit at every conference. How will they get to know you? There's only one way, and that's by standing out. You cannot hide and get the attention. And that's something they will not teach you at business school, because it doesn't fit into a spreadsheet. It's very, very, I think it's the most important thing. And to stop, I'll ask the drunk Englishman to help me. To see if you guys dare to stand out. So if everybody, let's see if we can fit everyone in. Yeah, I have to stand on this side. If we can fit everyone in here, and then, but how many of you actually want to be an entrepreneur? Oh, there is a couple. So the people who want to be entrepreneurs, they have a great chance, because I will, first of all, I will put in with some great guys out of Berlin. If you have your phones with you, yeah, of course you have. If you tweet at ML and at Club Office now on your phones, we'll be letting the first or the best team over time. We give half a year for 4 people free office in Frankfurt, Berlin, or Zurich. So that's a pretty good offer. I would definitely tweet now if I was you. And it's at Club Office in one word. Then let's try to see who actually dares to stand out, because you're not drunk enough yet, so it will feel comfortable. But we'll play some music, and then I'll keep an eye on the people who really dare to stand out and dance like crazy. And Mike will drive it, because he doesn't care.
And it goes like this. Take me by the tongue and I'll know you. Kiss me till you're drunk and I'll show you all the moves like Jagger. I've got the moves like Jagger. I've got the moves like Jagger. I don't need to try to control you. Look into my eyes and I'll own you with them moves like Jagger. I've got the moves like Jagger. I've got the moves like Jagger. Maybe it's hard when you feel like you're broken and scarred.